Hello, everybody. This is Diana Accent, and I am going to talk about learning before, during, and after. And I'm going to tell you why I think this tool is so great and it's not utilized as much as it should. And as you know, I'm bringing tools to you or ideas that you can learn or I have used in the past in one environment, but there are certain things that can be, and look for that. I love to find that possibility. You take some things from one place and you just apply it in a different circumstances or in a different environment, and you see how great it is that you had a chance to learn about that concept in a different place, and now you can look at it and see how it's changing, or if anything changes when you apply it to a different place. This is happened with this knowledge management tool that we have used heavily when we were working in government, and most of the time it's where my experience came up with this, and I saw a lot of success. But I also saw that teams do not make the time to actually do this all the time, and they feel like it's more important to rush into a project. They think that they have all the knowledge that they need to start, and they discover that at the end, in those retrospective analysis, that they could have probably done something different and better. And in those retrospective analysis, one of the things that came up pretty much all the time was, did we actually took the time to tap into the network that we have? Did we actually learn from those that were around us? And the answer was always, no, not enough. So when I also ask my participants to any kind of training that I do right now, I've done some this week and last week on strategic thinking. And one of the things that came up was very clear. People are not spending enough time to reflect, have a self-reflection, or to plan their next week. So when you see that that's happening, you kind of get to see why overwhelming feelings or things that are coming out not being so satisfactory to what they want to do. And there is no question for me that no wonder actually that this is happening, because if you don't put the right time into planning or in doing something, thinking about it, you're not going to get the better result. You're just going and experiment, but you can't do that when you have no other knowledge, when you're doing something totally novel and new. So let's just go back to learning before, during, and after. And how am I going to give you as an idea to be utilized for you as a personal knowledge management tool? So think about it. You have this it's based on questions that you can ask yourself before you do an activity or you start a project, during and after. So let's look at the first part. And I also want you to look at this. You know how we have that problem that we're not networking enough with others, don't know, we don't have time to find who is in our network? Well, this is a great tool for that too, because it makes you, during the first part, when you learn before, it forces you to look around. It forces you to recognize that you don't have all the answers, but somebody in your team or in your group or in your network will have it. So if you do that research, you find out who has that answer before you actually want to embark on something new. What else you could learn before you do that? And this is, for me, the one that's the least utilized, but it has the most potential. And it's just a common sense, right? If I could just tap into one of the best advice that I can have from someone who has done something before, and I spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes with them, what would my outcome be like? Can you imagine how much time I can save on doing things that actually probably was not a good use of time? How much time I can save on and money sometimes on starting a business without talking to someone who already had one or has one, and they can share something with us. So it is powerful to look at how can you share what you know and why it's important to keep sharing and growing together. So learning before starts with an analysis of what is supposed to happen. Make sure you get clarity, you have that vision very clear, because if you don't define that, then it's very hard to know if you are successful. So the second question to that is, how will I know if I am successful? You want to make sure you ask yourself those two questions at the very beginning and stay with those until you get the answer. Get the answer that you need. Don't just it's fuzzy, I can go ahead. Don't go ahead until this is very clear. The second question is, let me make sure I'm going to the right direction here. So we went over the first one. Let me go back here. So learning before it starts with what is supposed to happen and how will I know if I'm successful. And the second part to this is going to be, what is that I need? Could be knowledge, could be information, could be a person, right? So what is that I need and where can I get it? Is this what I need in my network? Is this in my department? Is this in my close circle or not? So find where you need that. The next piece to this is going to be, who else do I need to talk to? And why I say this is important is because it helps you to create connections. It helps you to identify someone that you probably don't know so much about it yet, but you are having a possibility right now to get into a discussion that's meaningful for them. Because if you go to someone with requesting an advice, if they're going to, the trust level that you put into that is going to be elevated. So you have an opportunity here to create a relationship with someone who knows something that you are also interested in. So it's a great way to start the conversation, to build that strong connection with somebody else. And that's also why I think this is very powerful. Let's continue with that, what you could also do. So this is the biggest payoff. Spending time on the learning before, you're going to have the biggest chances, more chances and probability to change the outcome for the better at the end. So look at also what else will make this possible. Don't rush into implementing. Yes, I know, I can just go quickly. Stay another second there or two, or a day or two, and answer this question, what else? What else? And ask yourself a couple of times if needed, until you find out other ways. Planning is so critical, because now you get a vision, you know what you want to do, you got the people that you're already connected and you know you have a support system, you're not alone, and then you can just start doing that. And as you move forward with this, I want you to also look at this tool that I'm giving you, all those questions, all this as a way for you to become more self-aware, because this is also super critical. People don't know enough about who they are and what they know. So, closing that parenthesis, let's go quickly here to the next things, learning during. So now the chances to change that outcome are going to be also impacted. So this is, again, the second most important part in my mind, because right now you're applying, you're making probably the first steps of what you said you're going to do. So what also you're going to stop after you've done that and just ask yourself, what was supposed to happen so far? What actually happened? And if there are any differences. If you don't have any differences, that means you're doing and you're getting what you know you would. So this is good, right? Continue to do that next time around in the same way. But also think about if there is a difference. If things are getting by mistake, or something happened, or you learned something from that, if there is a difference on the positive side, I don't know what happened here, but things went actually even better than I expected, then ask why, right? You're going to ask why that happened. So regardless of what the outcome there of this question, you could also think about why there is a difference. Am I getting something more than I expected, or I thought about this possible, or I'm getting less? For either of those two, you want to know why. What happened? And then you can ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And can I do right now? What can I do about right now? So I can next day when I'm going to have another client meeting or something, right? Another thing that I'm going to be repeating in my process, I can now make a change. And I can ensure that the result is getting closer and better every single day when I'm performing that. And then let's say you've done this, you've done the best you could, you learn, you capture everything you learn. So now is the time to learn after. So that means you can't change the outcome anymore. The outcome, it is what it is. You don't have chances to improve that outcome. So the process, it has a beginning, something in the middle that's happening, and then at the end, this is at the end. So now at the end, you don't want to just rush into, okay, I'm glad this is done, or I'm just complaining that it wasn't work so well, or whatever that feeling is at the end of something. Thank God this is ready. I don't need to go through this anymore. So go back and spend time with yourself, answering few questions like, what stands out for me? And what was new or different? What do I learn about myself in the process? Did I figure out that I actually love to do something, but I don't like to do certain things that took me through this journey? And make a note of that, because it's important for you to grow in that self-awareness piece. So make this part of your learning after, and continue with the rest of the questions, which are, what should I repeat next time if I do this? If I'm faced with the same thing, what would I do differently? And why? Make sure that you capture that. You spend enough time to remember, I don't know, don't wear the same color like I did before, or don't go to a wedding dressed up with something that's appropriate. Ask for clarification. Whatever the lesson is for you, make sure you're putting it in and you know what that is very clearly. After you do this, the last kind of part, which I think is so important and people don't celebrate it sometimes, is before they start to celebrate and don't think about this, is who else may be facing either similar challenges or the successes, right? Who else is in the same thing, doing the same stuff that I do, that they may find what I've learned useful? And go ahead and share with that, especially closing the loop with those who helped you at the beginning or during, because that is again a way for you to trust, to build that trust that you have with your connections that you made. And it's going to also help you giving back. It's going to help you feel great about whatever the lesson was that this was. Now you're putting it back and you're thanking people for what you have gone through. And in the professional world, this can also help you to gain more visibility, or also gain trust in what you're doing. Even if you just talk about a success story, most of the people are talking about their success stories, but everything is a success if you just make sure you learn from it and you just get everything that you have learned and share it back and say, even if this is what you may qualify as not being a success, but for me it was very useful, so I want to share it from that point of view. And that is what's also very useful to have, to do, but people don't usually do it. All right, if you find that this was useful for you, let me know. If you have any questions, again, let me know. And I really hope that with this type of work, with the time that you are going to make more time to save time later or to improve yourself, you're going to get to see that you learn more about yourself. And then when you go out and you have simple conversations that you want to have with others, you'll be more equipped to talk about who you are and what you want to bring in this world and to that relationship. And that is very powerful, because that's how you create strong teams. That's how you create communities, great families, great communities. So I hope this was useful. Let me know. Talk to you soon. Thank you.